Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where we teach spiritual transformation, awakening through mostly A Course in Miracles, but also in other manners. The lesson for today, right? And again, I often teach the workbook when I'm on here. And the reason for that is that, as he so aptly points out in the beginning of the workbook, that only practicing these lessons will allow you to obtain the goal of A Course in Miracles. Right? We use the text, we use everything, but it's the application, right, of these thoughts that are literally inserted from out of time, that bring about in you that shift in awareness, that shift in thinking that is necessary to um, obtain the goal of this Course in Miracles. Today's lesson is amazing. Today's lesson is miracles are seen in light. And really what he says here is if you're in light, you are aware of the miracle because the miracle is always there. But if you're not, right, if you are in your own darkness, right, you are not aware of the miracle. Um, what is so beautiful about the idea of light and darkness? Light is simply another word for truth, right? It's the light of truth, right? By accepting these thoughts, these ideas that are handed to you, right, in the workbook of A Course in Miracles, that shift that takes place in you from the thinking of the world to actual thinking, right? That's that shift to truth that's happening into you. Many of you, most of you basically, right, when you start practicing this, experience more peace, experience more joy, experience more rest in yourself, which again comes from that shift to truth, right? It is so beautiful because what he says in here, the miracle is always there. Its presence is not caused by your vision. Its absence is not the result of your failure to see. It is only your awareness of miracles that is affected. Right? In other words, um, I cannot be aware of the miracle. And again, remember, a miracle is a correction, right? Correction inserted in your thinking. I cannot be aware of the miracle unless I'm in light, right? And light has become for most of us a true experience in the sense that when we practice these thoughts, something happens. And many of you, hopefully, right, certainly this has been true for me, experience a light in the center of your head as a result of that shift in thinking. It's amazing. It says, failure to perceive light is to perceive darkness. The light is useful to you then, even though it's there, right? It's like if you're not experiencing light, it doesn't mean it's not there. But when you deny it or when you deny truth, that's what darkness is, right? When you accept truth, when you accept these thoughts, which are true thoughts, right, that light becomes real in you and becomes something that you carry with you all throughout the day when you go into the world. It doesn't matter what that means. You know, you go out to your job or you go out to see friends, but you carry that light with you. And as you carry that light with you, right, um, you make it available to your brother, and therein lies your function, of course, right? To be the light of the world. Even though he might not necessarily recognize what it is, he might, right? But if he doesn't, he still sees in you that happiness, maybe that peace, that rest, right? And maybe he's wondering, what is it that makes you so happy, so restful, right? Like, in other words, you're standing for the alternative. Does that make sense? Right? You're standing for the alternative. You're no longer representing the world. You're no longer representing death. You're representing your Father. You're representing truth. It's nice. It says, to be told that what you do not see is there sounds like insanity. It is very difficult to become convinced that it is insanity not to see what is there and to see what is not there instead. And yet, that is the condition of the world. The world's not there, right? And yet you seem to see it. However, to the world, that's not insanity. But to you, right, who is undergoing a spiritual awakening, that now has become insanity because hopefully by now you have accepted that, wait a minute, the world's not real, right? There is no world. And so the idea that you do see what's not there, but instead you do not see what actually is there, which is the light, right? That's that shift that is necessary in your awakening. It's like your reference shifts. Before, this world was your reference and it was real to you, right? And your gaze stopped at the outside of any form, and that's your reality. Now, right, having accepted that there isn't any world, that the world you see has nothing to do with reality, the light has become your new reference. That certainty that you feel within you, right? That strength that you feel within you, that you know comes from source, not from yourself, or at least your little idea of yourself, right? That strength that you carry with you, that light, now that has become your new reference. That's what you base your reality on. This is an amazing lesson. And then he goes on to say, well, if you're not a body, what are you, right? Right? You withdraw your idea of what you are as in the belief that you're a body, and then instead you're letting yourself be shown what you are. You're no longer going to define yourself as this separate entity, separate from everything else, but instead you're going to allow yourself to be shown what you are, right? Because what you are cannot be defined, right? But it can be shown, and that's a real experience. Great, great lesson, right? Um, and then he says that your efforts, however meager, are fully supported by the strength of God and all his thoughts. I love that. And it's from them that your strength will come, right? Your strength will come from source. It will no longer come from your idea of yourself, which wasn't strength to begin with, but weakness. But now your strength comes from that contact that you feel within you, and you know that comes from way beyond your own reference of space-time. Beautiful. Tomorrow's lesson is miracles are seen in light and light and strength are one. And he says, well, basically this idea is connected obviously to the previous one. And it says, you do not think of light in terms of strength and darkness in terms of weakness. And that is because your idea of what seeing means is tied up with the body and its eyes and its brain, right? The whole idea that these eyes see anything is not true. They see nothing, right? You see with your mind, and you see what you want to see. If you want to see a world of separateness, then that's what you'll see. But if you want to actually be able to truly see, right, they call it vision, right, then you have to adore the idea that these eyes see anything. Beautiful. It says it's God's strength in you that is the light in which you see, and it is his mind with which you think. That's amazing, right? It's like, no, you're seeing with God's strength. It's God's strength. You're using the mind of God, right? Again, the thought system that this course sets forth is in every way the opposite of the thinking of the world, right? It's new. If this is a little uncomfortable, let it be that way. Because pretty soon this will become entirely true for you. This will become your new reference. But initially, it's a little new, isn't it? It's different, right? It's not hard, but it's different. And when you're new to this, you're not quite used to it yet. It's amazing. It is your weakness that sees through the body's eyes, peering about in darkness to behold the likeness of itself, right? That's the world. Strength overlook these things by seeing past appearances, right? Strength, coming from source, overlooks all of this, right? It looks beyond that, and beyond that is the steady light. Now, this might be actually an experience that you have through A Course in Miracles, where for one moment everything that you're familiar with disappears, and behind it, you see the light. Many of you have had crossover experiences, right? Where you experience the light through what you call it a near-death experience, correct? but a more proper term would be a near life experience, because truly is when you cross over for a moment and have a glimpse of eternal life, and you experience the love and the light and the peace that is your natural inheritance, right? That's the light we're talking about, right? It's strength, it's beauty, it's peace, it's rest, it's everything. That's the goal of A Course in Miracles. The goal of A Course in Miracles is the peace of God, right? We're not teaching truth. We're teaching to the experience of truth. In other words, we're teaching to the undoing of your self-identity, so to speak, right? The self-image that you have of yourself, which is not true. And once that is being undone, right, there is now a vacant space where the thought of God can come in, right? You've vacated a space in your mind where truth can enter. Because truth hasn't really left. It's there, it's in your mind, but it needs to resurface, right? Which is why we do these lessons, because that is what the mind training is. Ideas leave not their source, right? One of the central thoughts of A Course in Miracles. The thought of God, the thought of what you are, cannot leave its source. It's not possible. It's in your mind, right? But we need to become aware of it again. We need to remember. And we remember through undoing the way we think now, undoing the way we see now. So, in true sense, when you are learning A Course in Miracles, you're actually unlearning what you think you know, right? All your thoughts, all your ideas, all your conceptions, right? All those need to be undone. Beautiful. Hmm. So basically, what is so lovely here is how he teaches in this lesson that strength is the opposite of what's called strength in the world. Strength in the world is you assert yourself as a self-identity. Usually it means you're loud. Usually means you present yourself as certain about something, although you're not, right? Because the ego, your self-identity, has absolutely no certainty. But you pretend, you put on a good face, maybe you're shouting harder than anyone else. That's strength, right? That's not what strength is at all. Strength is the idea of what you truly are. Comes from God, comes from source, right? Weakness, so it's exactly upside down. Weakness is the idea that you assert yourself as a self-identity. Uh, Strength is the idea that you accept yourself as you truly are. It is the opposite of the thinking of the world um, that you are learning, right? That you're teaching yourself, and you're learning through teaching. Many of you have discovered that when you teach it, you learn. When you don't teach it, you don't really learn, because teaching and learning are one, right? They're the same thing, because you teach and you teach yourself all the time, right? Um, and you, like he so beautifully says, you've been badly taught, right? You've taught yourself, but you are not. You taught yourself that what is not real is real, right? And you did it with great precision and great effort. And now you finally discovered that, well, that's not what I am, right? You weren't able to suppress the memory of God infinitely, right? At some point in time, in your sojourn in time, you would remember that you're awakening. And this is a particular point in space-time on Earth when there is a wide scale awakening going on. Awakening is going on um, all over the globe, right? So there's an acceleration going on, and it's real exciting. Um, Many of you are um, coming together in groups and teaching this and practicing this, and that's exciting, right? Because you are part of that, because you are that. So I'm glad you joined me today. Miracles are seen in light. What a great idea. Huh? I'm going to stay on the mark today, and I have that light as my reference so that at all times I'm aware of the availability of the miracle. Because next to every moment of suffering stands a miracle. You always have that choice. No matter what is going to happen to you today, no matter what the circumstances, right? You always have that alternative. Suffering is never the right choice, and it is a choice. You always have two choices: love or fear, right? Misery or happiness, right? Truth or falsity. So thank you for joining me today. If you like these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to YouTube. And I'll see you real soon.